Over the last week or so, it's become clear that the issue of free speech online is one of the most important ethical conversations of our time. Anti-lockdown events and channels removed from Facebook and YouTube. Tens of thousands of accounts linked to the QAnon conspiracy thrown off Twitter, and, of course, Donald Trump banned from all major social media platforms. There's a huge conversation to be had over the power these companies have to control what we are and are not allowed to see, what we can and cannot say. But some people are talking as if this conversation has already happened. Some people are talking as if not only has this conversation already happened, but the conclusions are crystal clear. Many people hold the view that censorship is justified in some cases as long as it's people they dislike or ideas they disagree with that are being censored. The problem with this point of view is that if you're happy to live in a society where some ideas are censored, you can't complain if or when it's your ideas that are shut down. You can't object if or when a far-right government comes into power and censors all left-wing views and ideas, or a hard left-wing government comes into power and censors all right-wing views, thoughts and ideas, or a religious institution or a big tech company. It's only by protecting free speech for everyone are you able to protect free speech for yourself. As Noam Chomsky said, if we don't agree with free speech for those we despise, then we don't agree with it at all. Because this is the question, and this is the question that you have to keep coming back to in relation to free speech again and again and again. Who decides? Who makes up the rules? To whom do we give the authority to tell us what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad, what's true and what's false? Because one glance at human history shows us again and again that with absolute power can come absolute tyranny, communism, fascism, dictatorships, corrupt monarchies and political regimes. That's why free speech is such a blessing, because we don't outsource the responsibility to someone else to tell us what we are and are not allowed to say. You know, I have lost count of the amount of times I've walked through Bristol city centre and seen street preachers telling people that they're going to hell if they don't believe in God or they don't accept Christ into their life. I can't think of more things more ridiculous and unpleasant than telling someone that they're literally going to burn in hell if they don't agree with you. But I put up with it because that's the price I pay for living in a free society. That's the deal I sign up for in return for my own freedom to say what I want. They're free to tell me I'm going to hell, and I'm free to ignore them or debate them or be upset or be offended. But I don't get to censor them, because when it comes to bad ideas, I strongly believe that sunlight is the best disinfectant. What I mean by this is, by casting light on bad ideas, we're able to expose them, reveal them for what they are. We can mock them, debate them, demonstrate why they're wrong. By doing this out in the open, we can persuade others not to agree with them. And also, we have a chance of healthy communication with the person or people that actually hold these ideas. By pushing these bad ideas underground, we don't make them go away. We just make them harder to keep track of. We increase the chance of radicalization. But protecting free speech isn't just about protecting the rights of some wacky fringe minority. It's also about those instances in which the minority are correct and it's the majority that's got it wrong. Once upon a time, it was illegal for peasants to read the Bible, and the majority of people would have been offended or upset at any suggestion otherwise. A few hundred years later, Charles Darwin discovered the theory of evolution, which challenged everything we knew about the origins of humanity, and many people thought this new information was wicked and immoral. More recently, homosexuality was frowned upon, and positive speech around the issue was considered to be unpleasant or unnatural or something that wasn't welcome in wider society. The popular majority consensus has got things wrong again and again and again. That's why free speech is so important. It keeps us on our toes, and it allows even the most widely accepted truths to be challenged. So free speech, it's not just about protecting the minority that are talking nonsense. It's about protecting the minority who are talking sense. At this point, Twitter, Amazon, Google, Facebook have more influence than most nation states. They have the ability to control information at a scale never before seen in human history. Their laws on speech are more restrictive than the laws on free speech to be found in most major Western democracies, and they do not hesitate to censor views that they disagree with. Now, you may agree with their political viewpoint this time round. Maybe you applaud their decision to ban Donald Trump, or you support their removal of anti-lockdown posts, but I invite you to consider what could happen if that amount of power gets into the hands of people that you don't agree with. That's why this conversation is about so much more than the events of the last week. This is about what type of world we want to live in moving forward. Do we really want to give a small group of tech billionaires in California the power to decide on our behalf what's real, what's not, what's true, what's false, what's good, what's bad? And it's not that I don't share concerns about echo chambers. I do. It's not that I don't share concerns about radicalization. I do. It's not that I don't share concerns about the fact that social media is literally sending people crazy, as in unable to agree on the very nature of reality. I share concerns about all of these things. But this conversation is so important that we have to be so careful not to throw away the carefully formed principles of free speech before it even begins. It's possible to believe that Donald Trump was guilty of inciting violence while still finding it terrifying that social media platforms were able to shut down the President of the United States. I also believe it's possible to think anti-lockdown posts or events are dangerous and irresponsible, but still think it's vital that we're able to question government policy. Big tech censorship is one of the most important ethical conversations of our time, and it's important that we all take part, coming from a place of good faith and not being clouded by our own political perspectives. Because in my view, no one should have this much power.